Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Let's Talk. This is the broadcast that discusses issues that matter. I'm your host, Denise Rollard Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer. And I hope you've had a chance to pick up this week's edition of the Washington Informer. I always like to show the print edition. You know, one day somebody's going to look back at this and say, boy, they continued. They just decided to, sail or swim against the waves because we're still printing a print newspaper. And we are so excited by having a really dedicated readership out there that supports us. And so, yeah, I hope you've had a chance to pick up a copy of the Washington Informer. And, you know, every month, I'm trying to pull it out now, we also publish, what am I doing here? We also publish the bridge. So want to make sure you see that because the bridge is inside of this week's issue. It's a whole issue that's dedicated to go-go music here in DC. So I want to thank the bridge team, Lafayette Barnes and the folks that put this together for taking a look at, you know, our native music here in the District of Columbia that's making an impact around the globe. So you'll pick up a copy of the bridge when you pick up a copy of the Washington Informer. We're at newsstands all over the DMV. So you can actually check us out if you're looking for places where you can pick up the newspaper. I hate to say go to the website because when you go to the website, everything that's in the newspaper is on the website. And speaking of the website, we want to make sure that you actually will consider subscribing to the Washington Informer online. You can follow us there at www.washingtoninformer.com. Sign up. We send daily updates, news announcements, and updates from the DMV, and a whole bunch of other things that we, our house newsletter. We have a financial literacy newsletter. We've got a lot of stuff that we are promoting here, and just by subscribing, you become a part of the family, and you get a chance to get all of that great information. We want you to know that you can share this broadcast on your social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, X, and Threads. So make sure you do that. And we're supposed to be on, what's it called? Nextdoor. Yeah, we're looking to for you all to be able to get us on Nextdoor as well. As so much news on Nextdoor, community neighborhood news. So check that out. And, we're going to be there as well so that we can add to the conversation. And to keep up with the latest news, like I said, subscribe to us at WashingtonInformer.com. We're also asking you, it's a lot we're asking, but we're also asking you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. The channel is Washington Informer TV. You see no spaces, but go to Washington Informer TV. That's our YouTube channel. And subscribe to that. And not only can you get Let's Talk and some of the other programs we have, we're thinking about on the channel maybe adding some other programming there as well. It's a lot out there in the community, and we certainly want to do our part of not only sharing with you what we have, but what we think may be of interest to you from other local producers. So keep a lookout for that. Before we move on to talk about our guests, I want to make sure that I remind you, teachers, parents, and students. The Washington Informer is sponsoring our annual Spelling Bees. The DC Spelling Bee, this is our 42nd year. It's already kicking off in schools all across the district from grades 3 to 8. So if you have not signed up your school, if you're a homeschooler, you can still participate as long as you're in the 3rd through 8th grades, private, public, parochial, independent, you name it. Schools sign up. And this is the flyer announcing that, but you can go to wicharities.org. That's our website, wicharities.org, because the Spelling Bee in the district and in Prince George's County is sponsored by the Washington Informer Charity. So go to wicharities.org and you can sign up for the Spelling Bee there. And for those of you all who are listening to us in Prince George's County, we are so proud to be the sponsor of the Spelling Bee in the county as well. So Shaka, who is our coordinator out there in the county, has put this together. So we want you to make sure that you sign up, get ready, because that bee, which is a little different than ours, the DCB, but that bee will take place on March the 1st at the Clarice Smith Auditorium at the University of Maryland. So for more information, you can go to Shaka Reed, CHAUKIA. I'm sorry, let me say that again. CHAUKAREID at yahoo.com. Shaka Reed at yahoo.com. Let her know that you want to participate in the Prince George's Spelling Bee if you're a Prince George's resident. Their grades are a little different, but when you contact Shaka, she will give you all the details. We want to see not only all these young people participating in the spelling bee, but we hope as we continue to promote this, that when we have, especially the Prince George's bee, that folks will come out and watch these phenomenal spellers. Spelling's still important. Reading is fundamental. We know that, right? And so these are the stars of our community that participate. And as you know, the winner from both bees represent Prince George's County and the District of Columbia, respectively, in the National Scripps Spelling Bee that takes place every May. Lately, it's been in Prince George's County. I'm not sure where they will host it this year, but we are so proud to be able to send 2 local spellers to that national competition. We want a winner, but just being there is such a phenomenal experience. And that's why my father, Dr. Calvin Rolark, who we recognized earlier this week on the 29th anniversary of his transition. But that's why we were so excited to and agreeable to sponsor the spelling bee for our local schools. So anyway, move on. Our guests today are Dr. Cedric Nash, who is the president and CEO of the Black Wealth Summit that is happening right now at City of Praise Family Ministries campus in Landover, Maryland. So it's not too late to get there, but we want to tell you what you're going to go and learn while you're there. Dr. Muhammad Kamar is the professor and chair of the Department of African Studies at Howard University and editor of the Howard Journal of African Studies. And he's going to talk to us about, just generally the African diaspora, what that all means, and how those of us who are interested in international affairs, particularly African affairs, where they can find a place and to learn and study at Howard University. I'm always happy to bring on a neighbor, a community activist, a friend, Wanda Lockridge, who is founder and chairperson of the William O. Lockridge Foundation. And she's going to be joined by Denitra Dorsey Daniels of Ballou Senior High School and Ebony Thayer Lewis of KIP DC Legacy to talk about the annual upcoming fun, exciting fundraising event that the Lockridge O Foundation puts on every year. And I said that backwards. The William O. Lockridge Foundation puts on every year, and it's Dancing with the Scholars. It's a great program, and I'm so glad that they're going to be here to discuss that and let you know when and where you can join and participate. We're going to have Latasha Barnes, speaking of dancing, who's also a dancer and scholar of Black American social dance, who will be having I love Brenda Seiler, our lifestyle reporter. She does great interviews, and I know this is going to be no exception to the rule. So she's going to talk to Brenda about the upcoming performance at the Kennedy Center. So looking forward to having that conversation with Latasha Barnes. And last, but of course not least, Sharon Goods, Chief Executive Officer of the Wisdom Walkers, is with us to talk also about Black health and wellness. So glad to have everybody on board. And we're going to start these conversations in just a minute. But before we get started, let's hear our weekly broadcast by Curtis Knowles.
This is WIN TV News, bringing you the news that matters. D.C. Council members Janice Lewis George of Ward 4 and Brianne Nadeau of Ward 1 introduced a bill Monday that would allocate government funding to the district's local news outlets based on input from residents, a program that, if passed, would be the first of its kind in the country. The Local News Funding Act would set aside 0.1% of D.C.'s annual budget, or $11.5 million based on the current budget, to the development of a local news grant program, which would go towards media outlets that report local news. Every registered voter in D.C. will receive, quote, news coupons to devote to their preferred outlets, and the number of coupons each outlet receives will determine its share of the grant money. Republicans have ended the self-afflicted political crisis that lasted more than 3 weeks with the election of Representative Mike Johnson, a Republican out of Louisiana, as the new House Speaker. Johnson was the fourth Republican to be nominated for the role since McCarthy lost the gavel. And unlike in previous ballots in which Representative Jim Jordan, a Republican out of Ohio, failed 3 times to get the votes needed, Johnson was elected on the first ballot, and the vote was 220 to 2009. At least 18 people were killed and 13 others were injured after a shooting at a bar and bowling alley in Lewiston, Maine. Police have named Robert Card, at age 40, as a primary suspect in the shootings, and an arrest warrant on murder charges has been issued. Officials have urged residents of Lewiston, Maine's second largest city, and nearby Auburn to shelter in place. The family of the Army reservist alerted police and military officials that he was experiencing, quote, an acute mental health episode before the Wednesday night massacre. Card is still currently at large.
Thank you, Curtis. And before we move forward, I do want to just say that we send our heartfelt condolences to the families of those who are victims of this last mass shooting in Maine. It just continues to happen. And, nobody wants to have that gun conversation up there on the Hill. And in cities across this country, it just seems to keep going on and on and on. And one day, something different, as folks keep saying, something different's got to happen. So I am really happy at this point to bring on President and CEO of the Black Wealth Summit, Cedric Nash. Cedric, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good. Definitely don't want you to mute on wealth building. We
can't do that. Can't do that.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, and so glad to hear about this event that's taking place over there at the Jericho. Yeah.
City of Praise Family Ministries used to be Jericho.
Yeah. Okay. All righty. So, tell us about this Black Wealth Summit and what's going on right now.
Well, the Black Wealth Summit is a nonprofit organization that I founded with a group of my executive friends, and it's designed to educate and inspire Black wealth development. We have a conference that we do annually. We have sponsorship from Morgan Stanley, Charles Schwab, New York Life, Gilead Science, BMO Harris, Raymond James, Travis Mack Foundation, Myro Ventures. What we do is we leverage not only their funds, but they bring their Black wealth advisors who dedicate their time to educating our community about investing, which is really, really important in the objective of closing the racial wealth gap. It's time that we, take matters in our own hands, leverage the resources available to us, and master this skill called investing, so that we can build wealth as a community.
I don't want to be the Denny Downer here, but yes. I got to go with this conversation because, we've been in business for 59 years.
Yes.
And a lot of the people who are at your table who are, again, your sponsors, we've had relationships with, and we know that year in and year out, we keep hearing the same story about the Black wealth gap in this country, that Black folks are not investing, Black folks are not saving, Black folks are not buying homes, why?
Well,
why is that happening?
I think that a lot of the reason why is that if you look historically as African Americans, we have suffered through years upon years of financial trauma that happened since slavery, right? So initially we were wealth. Then after that, we were promised 40 acres and a mule by President Lincoln, and Lincoln was assassinated, and Andrew Jackson basically turned that 40 acres and a mule back to Confederates. Then they opened up the Freedmen Bank. Blacks started putting money into the Freedmen Bank. The Freedmen Bank ended up having to bankrupt itself because they took bad loans from other banks and put it back into the Freedmen Bank, and then Congress had to force the closure of the bank, causing loads of African Americans to lose wealth, more financial trauma. Then you have Jim Crow. Then you have sharecropping. Then you have redlining. Then you have this 2023, where they're basically undervaluing our homes.
And we can't forget Tulsa. We
Tulsa,
can't
Oklahoma.
forget
Yeah,
Rosewood.
1920s, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
We
Yeah,
can't forget Rosewood. I mean,
so-
there's cities all over this country where we have really done the right thing,
Exactly.
but then the
But the
rug's been
difference
pulled
is,
from under us. Go
yeah,
ahead.
the big difference is it's our
Mhm.
response to that financial trauma.
Okay.
And how it's impacted our mindset to either make us either confused, make us fearful, make us distrustful, put us in a state of desperation. And so what happens is, as African Americans approach their money situations, their mindset dispositions us to either be taken advantage of or be afraid of investing. So the Black Wealth Summit is here to educate African Americans so that we can lean forward, find investment success, and learn from people who have had experience, had successful experiences investing, and be mentored by those folks. So we don't take anybody's money. We don't do anything that promotes people to invest. What we do is we educate people so that we can give them the tools and the inspiration and the knowledge to have investment success.
And so what is the first step that folks will hear there? I mean, as far as how to get into investing, what is the first? I know we can't do a whole summit on the show.
Yes. Well, it's, first of all, it's really developing the right mindset around investing for investment success. I say all the time on my own platform at Millionaire Money Moves, which is my platform, and I've written a book titled "Why Should White Guys Have All the Wealth?" Is that, and I emphasize becoming a millionaire, because the reality is we need millions of dollars to be financially independent or financially successful. And so building wealth or becoming a millionaire is not hard. It's just slow. And so what happens is, in that process, we're navigating the ups and downs of life, right? We're navigating these setbacks, and we have to still plunge forward. And so that's really the difference between people who are successful investing and people who aren't, is their ability to plunge forward despite what's happening in the market, to continue to invest and leverage things like dollar cost averaging and leverage things like extreme diversification and investing over long periods of time. That's where success is. That's why I'm fired up about this, because I've had investment success, and I mentor people for free on my platform at cedricnash.com. And these people are growing Black wealth. I have a group of people that started with me in January. I've had some that's grown their wealth by 3% a quarter, others who've grown their wealth by 20% a quarter, another one 30% by quarter, and another one who's grown his wealth by over 100% in 3 quarters, because they are mastering these principles, and the principles are really training their mindset to plunge forward despite what's happening with the market.
So again, going back to my previous question, what's that first step besides coming to the summit? That is a first step.
The first step is to buy my book, Why Should White Guys Have All the Wealth? And I break it down. But wealth building is really about 3 things. It's about developing the millionaire mindset, which is the offense. It's about adopting millionaire values, which people don't talk about, which is the defense, the thing that allows you to keep the money. And the third thing is what I call making millionaire money moves, which is the accumulation of assets that appreciate and do the work of generating income for you. So the first step is really the mindset, because if you don't heal the mindset, which is your preconceived ideas and beliefs, then you won't be consistent long enough to get the results. And that's where I think that's the one thing we're missing, is that we're not consistent and plunging forward long enough for investment success to happen. Also, because of our disposition and our historical trauma, sometimes we, in our desperation, we put money into things that don't build our wealth. We put money into things like cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency. If you look in the year 2022, large numbers of African Americans lost money in cryptocurrency. They got into the market late. And you know what the research shows? That many of the people that invested in cryptocurrency did not buy 1 share of stock, right? Historically, because of our church upbringing, we felt guilty for pursuing wealth and pursuing money, right? Often pastors use, scriptures to make us feel guilty for pursuing wealth in an effort to put all of our money in the church. And they also made us feel like by investing in the stock market that you're gambling. You're not gambling by investing in the stock market. You can if you're a trader or a day trader, but long-term investors are investing in quality companies. They're investing in companies that have assets, companies that have intellectual property, companies that has a history of growing revenues and growing profits and creating dividends. So it's just the fact is we've never had the mentors or the kind of environment that took the time with us to develop the right mindset so that we can have investment success. And that's exactly what we're doing with the Black Wealth Summit.
So who should be coming to this summit? I'm sure you would say everybody, but I mean, are there certain people that you're really targeting that may have, at least a savings account or?
Nope, it doesn't.
Okay.
All you need is a paycheck. If you have the ability to earn, then you have the ability to save, and you have the ability to invest. And one of the principles I teach in my book is to invest all the time, a piece of every paycheck, a piece for every month until you have lifelong income. So that's another mindset challenge that we have, is that no one's ever taught us how to really, really build wealth, how to really accumulate assets, starting with the stock market, then moving on to real estate, potentially entrepreneurship and private equity. I teach these principles in my book. I, in fact, even create what I consider an investment ladder that teaches people how to get to destination millionaires, starting with just a paycheck, starting from the bottom.
When I see your book, I think of, and I don't know why I'm getting brain freeze.
Reginald Lewis.
Yes, Reginald Lewis. I loved his book. So I will definitely take a look because the titles are similar.
Yes, and that's intentional. And I pay homage to him.
Tell me about that, because some people may not even know who Reginald Lewis is.
Well, Reginald Lewis was the first African American to create a $1 billion enterprise, and he died in 1993. He's actually from Baltimore, Maryland.
Beatrice Foods, I think it was.
Yeah, right? Beatrice Foods, exactly. He was a gentleman who mastered buying companies, and if you want to find out who the Reginald Lewis is today, it's the richest African American in the United States, which is Robert Smith, who actually buys enterprise software companies. So Reginald mastered buying
students' tuition too.
Say that again.
Pays off students' tuition.
Exactly. Well, Reginald Lewis mastered how to buy companies through leverage buyouts, and as a result, ended up buying Beatrice Foods and growing their revenues to $1 billion. So he wrote that book, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? Because he felt like that there should be more African Americans that were in the game of building businesses through acquisition and leveraging private equity. I believe that his book taught us what was possible in business. I'm hoping that my business teaches us as a community what's possible through investing. And when I was talking to a friend of mine about my book, I was on this rant and I was saying, why should only white people be getting rich in America? And that's why I said, wow, that's probably the title. And I played around with it. And I remember reading that book, and I said, you know what? I'm going to title the book, Why Should White Guys Have All the Wealth? It's not about black or white. It's about the fact that 84% of wealth in this country is in white households and 4% is in black households. I wanted to write a book that teaches African Americans how to build wealth despite the odds.
And so as it relates to the conference, can people still come?
We're pretty much sold out, and we had to close registration.
Okay.
So we might try and talk about potentially opening up, for tomorrow. But, our breakout rooms are full. I mean, they're getting incredible information from a lot of the people that I invest with. There are a lot of people that I trust, like my estate planner, like my financial advisor, like advisors from Morgan Stanley, Charles Schwab, and places like that. So no, we're not here to take people's money. We're not here to offer them investment options. We're here to offer them investment education and to empower them so they can feel confident as investors.
So is this an annual event?
Our goal is to make this an annual event. We were lucky to have the Governor Westmore, come and visit us. And he's really fired up about this. He wants to make this his mission under his administration for the state of Maryland. He says he wants to make the state of Maryland the blueprint for other states to follow. So our goal is, if we can get more sponsors support and get more sponsors leaning in and providing the support that we need, we want to continue to grow this and make this a DMV widespread conference annually.
Well, I'm disappointed that we talked to you so late and couldn't encourage folks to go. So we hope that we can be closer in touch next time if you do this again, to make sure that we can help to get the word out. But it doesn't seem like you're missing out on folks, because it sounds like they're all in there. So that's
they're all in, but we can take more. But like I said, they should come to blackwealthsummit.com. They should join. Look at our at Blackwell Summit Instagram, and my own personal Instagram at Millionaire Money Moves. We have, like I said, a free mentoring program where for the entire year and beyond, we are educating our community on building wealth. Every other Monday, we have a session, And we have guest speakers that come, and we continue this on. This is not just an annual event. We do this throughout the year, providing the right kind of mentorship that's needed to change the racial wealth gap.
Wonderful. And you mentioned having your estate attorney, because that's the other sort of loose end or escape where our finances, our wealth, sort of we lose it from generation to generation. So I assume you talk about that as well.
Oh yeah, we had two classes on estate planning. One for pretty much everyone else, talking about irrevocable trust, as well as wills and typical estate planning. And then he did one for the wealthy, the people who have millions of dollars of assets that have to transfer. It was done by Frank Campbell, who's an attorney in Annapolis, who is my estate planner. He loves doing this. His session was packed. Wonderful. Loads of questions. And what I loved about Frank's session is that he quizzed them at the end to make sure that people understood. I tell you, this is an educational platform. This is not just a group of people talking at you. You can ask questions, you can get involved, and it's designed for you to learn and to follow up with the speakers that are teaching the sessions.
Well, if I can be so bold as to say on behalf of Black America, Cedric, thank you very much for this Black Wealth Summit, for providing this information and this resource, and especially doing it right here in the DMV, where we do have people that do have paychecks.
Exactly.
So thanks a lot for being with us and sharing this great information.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All righty.
Okay.
Get back. Thank you. So yeah, we can't talk enough about Black wealth, and you're right. I mean, I think that we do have our issues, as I started out before, because we have seen what has happened to us over and over and over again as people. But it's our response to that I think what he said is so critical. So speaking of response, speaking of over and over, speaking of our history, I am really, really pleased to introduce you to Dr. Muhammad Kamara, who is with the Howard University Department of African Studies. Well, am I saying that right? Is it Kamara or Kamara?
Yeah, it works both ways.
Both ways. Okay. I don't know what your preference is, but I just want to make sure I get it right. Welcome to Let's Talk.
Thank you very much for having me.
No, my pleasure. As you know, or may not know, I don't know, Dr. Kamara, is that we have historically here at the Washington Informer tried to include news from Africa in our newspaper. My dad started this back in the late 60s. And so, we want to grow that because the audience is growing of folks who I think are interested from the diaspora on news and information coming from Africa. But, people don't often think about African studies and, where they can go and what usefulness it is to them to pursue a degree or in African studies. So that's why we wanted you here, to really talk about what you're doing over there at Howard University and how your department is maybe even growing. So talk to me, share that information with us.
Thank you very much. This is a very timely question because this year, 2023, marks the 70th anniversary of our department. We have been celebrating all year long. And about a week or so ago, we have a whole day celebration of the 70th anniversary of the department. This department was created in 1953 when all forms of African studies were colonial. Only 2 African countries were independent and sovereign at that time, and these were Ethiopia and Liberia. Anywhere else in Africa, the study of Africa was done through the colonial lens. How Europeans came to tell us they brought us a civilizing mission because Africa is not civilized, doesn't have a culture, and so on. And when the program of African Studies and Research was created at Howard University, it attracted not only students from the United States, mostly African-American students, but also students from the Caribbean, from Latin America, from Africa, and beyond. And years later, in the 60s, it began with the PhD program. In the 60s, the master's program was added, and in I would say the 70s or 80s, the undergraduate program was added, and it became a full-fledged Department of African Studies, the only one in the United States that
Wow.
issues bachelor's degrees, master's degree, and PhDs exclusively centered on African studies. Anywhere else, you can have your degree in history, in sociology, and philosophy with concentration on Africa. But when you earn your degree from our department at Howard University, it says BA, MA, or PhD in African studies. The only
that is really, I did not know that, Dr. Farr. And I think that, I mean, the only university in the United States that offers that. I mean, Howard is always on the cutting edge of so many things as it relates to us. And that is great news. But tell me, why would someone, or why, no, I don't want to say why would someone want a degree in African studies, but where does a degree in African studies take someone? What kind of career opportunities, and where have some of your graduates ended up?
Okay, some of our we have graduates in all in different areas, very worthy and respectable areas. We have graduates in government agencies like the State Department here, like the Department of Education, like the Defense Department. We have graduates in international organizations, including UNESCO. Actually, 2 days ago, I was in a webinar with UNESCO on the decolonization of teaching and learning of African history and culture. And one of the organizers is an alumnus of our department.
Wow.
So to tell you that they are in all these places. In Africa, you go to some African countries today, members of parliament and presidential cabinets, and also universities and other institutions of research and nonprofit organizations around the world, because even though the majority of our students are African American, African, and Afro-Caribbean, it's not limited to that. We have non-Black students.
Wow.
We have Asian students, white students, and so on. So they are all over the place. Just really quickly to give you some examples, even though these people did not study in African studies, but they did collaborate with African studies. I can cite, for instance, historically, Nnamdi Azikiwe, the first president of Nigeria, who studied in Philadelphia. He was very close to our department. Kwame Nkrumah as well. And they collaborated with people that are very well known in leadership in the United States, like Thurgood Marshall and so on. So it is a very fertile department, and we are very proud of our alumni.
Dr. Kamara, if you don't mind, can you tell us about your journey? How did you end up at Howard? And what is it what is your mission? What is the department's mission? But how did you end up there first? I'd like to know that.
Well, I ended up here at Howard University when I applied in 2016. They were searching for a chair. And at that time, I had been teaching at an aeronautical university in Florida for 13 years. I was hired there after 9/11 because 3 of the hijackers on 9/11 had learned how to fly there. And afterward, the federal government wanted the university to improve its curriculum and other aspects to prevent that kind of thing. And I was hired because my PhD is in history from Northwestern University. I majored in African history, double minored in African American studies and Islamic and Middle Eastern studies. So a combination of that made me a good candidate, and I was hired. We developed a degree program in international relations and security studies before I left. I came to Howard University because as a Black person from Africa and a member of the African diaspora who has been in predominantly white institutions since I earned my PhD in the mid-1990s, when I came to Howard, I realized that this is home. And as I tell my students and others, at Howard, when I'm walking up or down and the janitor comes and calls me bro, I know this janitor is not making fun of me. He means it. I'm his brother. And when I realized the difference I can make at Howard is more needed here, and will have more lasting impacts here within the population that I have, the students that we have. And there are challenges, yes, but there are challenges everywhere. So I believe that I'm doing my best mission here to educate, to help educate people, Africans and people of African descent, and to recreate that global Africa community, whereby we understand that our identity, singular, is transcendental. It is transcending the times, the centuries of African enslavement, the decades of colonization in Africa, and the decades of neo-colonization, and to recreate Pan-Africanism that helped us connect in the early 20th century to help struggle national liberations in Africa, the civil rights movement here in the United States,
yes,
apartheid, to help end apartheid in South Africa. And today, with Black Lives Matter, when I go to my country in Guinea, I hear young people sing songs that I hear here in Washington, D.C., that is the call to struggle for Black Lives Matter. So I see all that as a repercussion of what we are doing here at Howard University.
I love it. I mean, I think I'm glad that you were able to spend some time with us today to talk about the African Studies Department, but also, I think there is an increasing interest by Black Americans to connect to Africa, particularly because of a DNA tool, that's distributed through African Ancestry and others that allow us to kind of find our roots, per se. Mm-hmm. And also, this is the last year, if I'm not mistaken, of the decade on the United Nations decade of Africans, or was it from on the African diaspora? What is it mm-hmm. called, Dr. Kamara? Yes. But most people don't even know that, that this has happened and have made any connections to it. So before we close, why is it important for us to really tap into, understanding not only our African American history and culture, but our African history and culture? I know that everybody can't come to the school, but why is it important to know this?
It is very important to know it, for one thing. And as Reverend Jesse Jackson used to say when he was running for president, if you're not yourself, you are nothing and nobody. And a lot has been done, particularly on this side of the world, to acculturate and deculturate people of African descent, to cut them completely off from their source, from their heritage, from their history, to more exploitatively dominate them and make them a property, an instrument of whatever. And I strongly believe, and we believe in the Department of African Studies. And by the way, we have a strong collaboration with the Department of Afro-American Studies at Howard University. So because to us, we in the Department of African Studies, we study Africa and the African diaspora from within Africa. And the Department of Afro-American Studies studies the diaspora in Africa from the outside. So
great connection, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are two sides of the same coin.
Right.
So African Americans or people of African descent need, for their own sake, for their own self-respect, self-valuation, and self-worth, to connect with their origin. And that means Africans also, for their own sake, for their own valuation, need to connect or reconnect with the African diaspora. It's not just one side needs the other. We need one another, because as long as Africa is not freed from all forms of neocolonialism, discrimination, exploitation, no Black person in the world will have their dignity, their freedom secured, especially with the emergence of a re-emergence of Afrophobia globally today. That's one. Two.
Dr. Kumar, I'm really going to have to end it here, but and I'm glad that we're going to just put a comma there and not a period, because as we begin to have more of these conversations, we certainly want to have you with us to talk about why this is so important. I think your point was well taken, and one we need to sort of sit with for a minute and understand, just what you said and what that really means to us, because I think it's a good point. And so we're going to have to end here, but thank you so very much for being with us today. And we hope that folks will be able to reach out to you. If people are interested in the department, how can they contact you?
You must have my email address. They can contact me. They can also, if they go to the Howard University website, if you click Department of African Studies, it will take you to our webpage, and there is enough information there. You can email us, and we will definitely respond, and we'll work with you.
I'm connecting dots, which don't really connect, but we have a guest that's coming on next, Wanda Lockridge, who has come up with a really phenomenal program for middle and high school students to learn about foreign service and the African diaspora. Do you connect at all with any of the public school programs, or is that something that, she could probably contact you on about getting some of her kids over to the school to meet with some of your students?
Absolutely. We do have these interrelations with DMV schools, high school, elementary, secondary schools. We have in our undergraduate program, we have student ambassadors that connect us with the local institutions, and definitely we welcome all those opportunities to work with the community.
Wonderful. That is good. It's on campus, beyond the walls, in the community. I love it. Absolutely. And around the globe. Dr. Kumar, thank you so very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
All righty. Have a great day.
Okay, you too.
So I gave a sneak preview because I said my next guest, and I'm going to go ahead and bring her on because I know time is running and she's got some students with us. Wanda Lockridge, how are you?
I'm doing amazing. How are you today?
Good. I know we're here to talk about Dancing with the Scholars, but since I gave a little preview about the program that you are doing, let's talk about that for a minute.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, so the U.S. Foreign Services Initiative, and interesting enough, Dr. And I don't want to mess up his name either. He actually was invited to speak to our students, but he was out of town. And so we're going to invite him back again. We would love to have him. He has a lot of information. But the U.S. Foreign Service Initiative is a program that introduced young people to international careers. Ambassadors. I mean, again, my philosophy has been you can't dream what you don't know. And so we've given these young people an opportunity. It's a 6-week program. This is our 2nd year, and they have been really engaging this year. We're really excited to have this program added to our platform. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I can see them sitting in a class at Howard University with some, undergrad, graduate, and PhD students to see that this is real. Like you said, that there are young people that are a little older than them that are on that path that they too can be on themselves. But anyway, let's talk about Dancing with the Scholars. Is Denitra and Ebony with us?
Well, these are not students. These are actually our teachers. Who
oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Yes. Well, I'm telling on myself, not them. I'm like, nice to see you all. Glad. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
So, Ebony, you're from which school?
I'm at KIPP Legacy College Prep.
Okay, I see a Howard Bison behind you. All
yes,
right.
I am.
Denitra, do you have roots at Howard too?
Yes, I am a Flashy Flag, Showtime Marching Band, 97, 98.
Okay, all right. And now you're at Ballou Senior High School.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So Wanda, let's get back to Dancing with the Scholars and how Ebony and Denitra are a part of what is going to happen in a week.
In 1 week, we got counting down. So this is our 13th year. Let's start there. So we are teenage now. And so we're happy to come back to the Arc in Southeast Washington, D.C. next Saturday. And we have a little twist this year. So before...
Well, you all twist every year because y'all dance across that stage.
We try to do that. And so this year, generally we have our students to either dance with an elected official from the State Board of Education or they dance with a council member. This year, we wanted to do a little twist. The theme this year is, as you can see, Battle with the Schools. So it's more of a school spirit. So we asked our dance teachers this year to dance with their students. And so I'm pretty excited. So we have Ballou, Anacostia, and KIPP, as you see. Unfortunately, Anacostia wasn't able to join us today, but we have these 2 amazing dancers can talk about what they're doing with the students this year. As we prepare to celebrate and give you real serious entertainment next Saturday.
All right, Ebony, what can we hear from, what are we going to see from KIPP?
From KIPP, I'm working with one of our seniors. Her name is Honesty Hill, and she has also helped choreograph one of the pieces. We are going to be doing 2 different pieces, bringing some energy, some creativity, giving you a little spice and flavor. We're really excited. We've been working really hard. Honesty is the SGA president at our school, and she is also the captain of the cheerleading team. So she has a lot on her plate. So for her to be able to dedicate her time to this is just like phenomenal. And I'm so proud of the hard work that she has put in. And like for myself, I haven't danced since I graduated from Howard. I was a musical theater major at Howard University. So like dancing every day and then graduating and then being able not dancing at all.
Wow.
And like coming back and like dancing now, it's just like, oh my gosh, my body is like so I go home every night and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so tired. But I love to see the energy that Honesty brings every time we have rehearsal. So that just pushes me to keep going.
Wonderful. And Denitra?
Yes, my partner is Takaja Summers. She's a senior here as well. She's on the dance team with the Royal Ladies of the Blue Majestic Marching Knights. I can say our schedule has been really tough. I am the manager of climate, culture, discipline, and security here at Ballou Senior High School. So I don't have a lot of time sometimes to really get in there. So I can say that we have conceptualized what we're going to bring next week. But we are still work in progress. So
So that you know how that works, Ebony. See, she's telling you, well, we haven't had a chance. We didn't get to.
I'm
We.
not trying to show her hand. That's the poker face. That's the poker face.
That's what I think is going
Yeah.
on. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
I mean,
I was dicing. I know how we work.
I mean, but I'm honest. It's a tough job managing discipline, you know, in
Oh
a high
yeah.
school. So
You should
yeah,
make
I'm
them
over
all dance. That's what it. That's the punishment. Everybody's got to dance.
Plie
So
the
yeah, no,
floor.
yeah, so I can relate to the not dancing, like the dancing they have coordinators and choreographers. That's not me. I'm the auxiliary director, so I'm more the business, trying to make sure everything is good. So Wanda kind of twisted her arm a little bit and recommended that I get out there. I think it's always great when we can show students that we're human and that we're, you know, a good sport and we don't mind, you know, getting out there and just having a good time. And I think that's when I did my interview the other day. That's really the goal, is just trying to come out and just have a really good time.
Well, you know, as an organization that sponsors like a spelling bee, right? I mean, it's exciting to me, maybe not exciting to other people, but
I
you
like
know, we're looking at kids that don't play, well, maybe they do, but they're not on football fields, they're not on the basketball courts, you know, they're not singing, they don't get a stage, right? With an authentic audience like Dancing with the Scholars gives them. So you know, it's just all of what they have to bring with them, not only just the dance, but you know, just being prepared to you know, to be in front of an audience and to give try to be that why can't I think of her name, Beyonce type, you know, a presentation. I mean, it's good, and no matter what they bring, they get applause. I mean, because
Yes.
people congratulate them for their effort.
Absolutely.
So Wanda, how did you come up with this idea, and how have you been able to hold on to it for 13 years?
Let's start there. So we started this in 2011, and you know the story. My husband passed. He served on the State Board of Education, and I just really didn't want people to just give flowers on the funeral. So I asked people, if you wanted to spend money on flowers, just give a donation. At that time, William had been a teacher at Baloo Senior High School. He had been a coach, and I said, well, we can give one $1,000 scholarship to a student. That year, we did 4 $1,000 scholarships, and I was just amazed. I thought that was the end of it. I was going to go about my business, go back to work, and people enjoyed it so much. They said, Wanda, you really need to do this, because it gives give young people an opportunity not only to perform and show their skills, but also we raise money for scholarships. We raise money to take kids to Africa with no cost to them at all. And this is a fun way of doing it. And generally, most fundraisers you go to, it's a dinner, it's a gala, and you're spending all your money on food in the venue. And so we wanted to do something that was different and that really put money into our programming. And so we came up with Dancing with the Scholars, because at that time, Dancing with the Stars was a real popular dance show on TV. And so we sort of kind of mixed it up a little bit and created Dancing with the Scholars.
And the other part to this, I don't know if you're still doing this, is how you bring on, used to have council members who would dance with the scholars. They are really the life of the show as the judges now. I don't know if you can give us a sneak preview of who your judges are this year.
I will say we have still elected officials as judges. I will leave it at that. You have to come and see who they are this year. But the good thing this year, we have been really fortunate to have an underwriter and a grant to give us free tickets. So you can come and enjoy next Saturday and pay nothing at all. You still have to register, however. And yes, there will be judges, and some of them act like, what's the judge? Was it what was his name that was on this? Simon Cowell, yes. And so we have some of the Simon Cowells on there.
Oh, I've seen, yes.
Make some comments. So it's just a really fun evening, a fun event, family friendly. And this is an opportunity really, because there are families out there that have maybe 3 or 4 kids and they just may not have the dollars to spend. But this is an opportunity for the whole family to come out and just have an evening of family events. It is a school spirit, so you can rock your school attire, your apparel, your swag. And so I have no idea. in terms of my swag, but I am a knight for life, so you can figure that out.
Wonderful.
Be biased. Lockridge works with us.
Oh yeah. So that serious competition there.
So tell us again. It's next Friday. Give us the details. Next Saturday. I'm sorry.
Saturday.
I'm glad I said that. Next Saturday, November the
4th.
Mhm.
Okay. Do we have? I don't know if we had. Can we put the flyer back up, Chevy? It got stuck last time. We put it up and then we couldn't get it back down. But so I guess folks have probably seen a lot of it. But next Saturday, November 4th, at 7:00 at the Arc at 1901 Mississippi Avenue Southeast.
Yes.
Wonderful, and it's free.
And it's
although, go ahead.
Registration is required.
And donations will be accepted.
And donation would definitely be accepted. While this is still a free event, we still, collecting in donations for our programming. And we have like 3 programs right now. So in 13 years, we have really grown quite a bit from a scholarship only program to now we take the kids to Africa. It's the U.S. It's the International Ambassadors Program. We've been to Benin, we've been to Ghana, and we've been to Cameroon. Next year, I think we're going to Swaziland or somewhere, but we're going somewhere. So the kids will be going somewhere next year. And then the new program that we started, the U.S. Foreign Services Initiative, which is in its 2nd year. And we're just excited about all these amazing kids that we have, amazing scholars.
You all do all of this even with a full-time job.
Yes, we can talk about that on another show.
So how should people register?
People can go to our website, which is www.William Lockridge Community Foundation, or they can go to tiny URL. So this is a long name. I don't know if I can type it, but it's DWSTX, like the room number 13.com. But you can always reach us on Facebook or Instagram, and you see that on the screen there. Reach out to me directly at info@William Lockridge Community Foundation. We can be found almost anywhere.
Wonderful. All right. That's great. Well, I want to thank you all for having a friendly competition.
Yeah.
Although
really friendly.
I'm feeling the tension.
No, it's not tension.
Oh no. I'm coming to see the battle of the dancers. So I think it's going to be fun. I know you're going to. You may be in a certain place today, but next Saturday you're going to be. Amazing. Your students at least will be fired up.
With some ice on standby.
Yes, ice.
They told me they're gonna need a massage after.
My daughter's 30, so
that's another conversation, Wanda, because we know that Ward 8 has its own spa now.
That's right.
And we need to talk about that. So let's see where that goes. But anyway, thank you all for joining us, and I know it's going to be a great event, and I hope that folks will be there filled to the rafters. The Arc will be filled to the rafters as we watch this fun and entertaining and family-oriented program.
Yes.
So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for always having us.
Ladies.
I so appreciate you.
All righty.
We'll see you soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So as you all know, the last couple of weeks, our show has gone over. It's because we just have so much that we're trying to pack in here. So don't go away, because I am, always thrilled to have my our lifestyle reporter and a great interviewer herself, Brenda Seiler, who has another great interview with us today. So Brenda, are you there?
I sure am, and thank you. And the dancing continues.
Yes.
Because we're going to be talking with LaTosha Barnes, but we got a little bit of a teaser introduction for you all.
All right, it's all yours.
How about that? I'm so excited about our upcoming guest here, Latasha Barnes. Latasha Barnes has a background and a skill set you would not believe. She is a traditional bearer of Black American social dance forms. You saw that in the video. She's a visionary and artistic director of the Jazz Continuum Project, which is coming up on the 17th and 18th of November. And it's she's a stage producer. She's assistant professor of dance at Arizona State University School of Music, Dance, and Theater. And welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so excited to have you here today. My God, I'm out of breath. I'm out of breath from that video and giving all your titles. Welcome.
To be fair to the organizations that I'm honored to be in service of, that's just a few of my titles, but gratefully, I'm honored to be in service to my community and culture. So and it's great to be here with you today too.
Well, looking at that video, you obviously have the energy to do everything that we talked about, that I described about you, and more. Talk about you are doing a residency at the Kennedy Center that is going to bring forth the Jazz Continuum. Tell us about the Jazz Continuum.
Yes, I appreciate that moniker, bring forth the Jazz Continuum. This project, first and foremost, like many of the young dancers that will be participating in the Dancing with the Scholars event, or the Battle of the Schools event, which I wish I could be there for. This is 5-year-old Tasha's dream. I grew up in a dancing family and always enjoyed that sense of camaraderie and that space of performance and space of engagement. And as I grew as a dancer from an interesting set of circumstances, I just wanted more people to be able to explore and play with. And humbly, I was gifted with the knowledge and wisdom of my elders and some of the ancestors of many Black American social dance forms. And this project, this notion came to me most clearly during the pandemic, when I had time to rest and think about what I really wanted. And thanks to the generous support of Works in Process at the Guggenheim Museum in New York, we were able to craft a residency to get together so that I could actually test my theories and test my methodologies and see if we could really produce something that was not just meaningful to the title of the work, but meaningful to the continuum itself, and actually generate new understanding about Black American dance and recenter our values on Black American art forms here from this experience that we've had as Americans here. And so, it's been an amazing journey. And the residency is actually a requirement of the presentation of the work, so that everybody gets an opportunity to live between each iteration and then bring who they are now to the new experience. So it's always new.
Well, when you were talking about how things came together with testing your theories, obviously you passed the test and beyond, because you've been taking the Jazz Continuum all over the place. But I think it's important for us to really delve into how this all started for you. You are a retired Army, you're an Army veteran, and we thank you for your service as being an Army veteran, but also you've worked in the presidential administrations too.
White House Communications Agency,
Right. But then you were telling us in the pre-show about getting into a car accident, a very severe accident. Talk to us about that and how it took you forward to where you are now.
Wow. Yeah. So I, as a child, showed great energy and great skill in dance. And so my parents attempted the traditional route, as we say, of putting me in ballet, tap, and jazz. And my musculature and stature and skin color weren't really in agreement with that at that time in the 80s. And so I went to athletics. But fast forwarding quite a bit, dance never left, because it was always a part of my family upbringing and my community upbringing. Being a track and field athlete, we used to have, events at the Arthur Ashe Center in Richmond, Virginia, and things like that too, and at skate parks and stuff like that. So dance was always there. But I entered the military, and while in the military and in active duty, in addition to other injuries that I sustained, I tell people I had a short-lived career as a hood ornament. But this was in the DMV area, in Springfield, Virginia, actually. And Yeah, after 2 years of rehab from that incident, I had a physical therapist share with me that she recommended that dance therapy would be the best tool of recovery. I, culturally, I misunderstood. I thought she meant dance therapy, like hip hop, getting it. And
Really
so,
getting into it. Yeah,
yeah,
I
and so
know.
I took a beginner hip hop class that ended up being a popping class that ended up being exactly what I needed and gave me back, a sense of control and functioning of my musculature. And that led me to discovering house dance with the mentorship of Rashad Pearson and then the mentorship of Junius Brickhouse. And the rest is history. It opened up the floodgates, and my body and mind and spirit remembered that this is what I wanted to do as a child. And my purpose would not be denied. No matter what career path I tried to hold on to, dance would not remove itself from my journey. And the ways that I've been able to honor that and make space for others to do that as well has been one of the joys of my life. So I'm deeply honored to be the facilitator of the Jazz Continuum and helping others bring their vision and purpose to the forefront as well. So, yeah.
And just a reminder to our audience, Latasha Barnes is our guest we're talking to now. She is, a creator, but I would also say a convener of the Jazz Continuum, because you pick up musicians and singers in the city that you go to. This is going to be at the Kennedy Center now. It's going to be at the Kennedy Center, November 17th and 18th. And it's my understanding that when you take the Jazz Continuum to all the different cities you go to, you try to pick up the culture that is specific to that city. You grew up in the DMV area, so we probably have a smidgen of a hint of what some of the things we're going to hear. But I saw hand dancing. DC was a big hand dance city. We were talking about that. I saw a little bit of break dancing, I think, in the clip. So talk about how you actually mold things to represent the city and the audience that will be there at the Kennedy Center.
Well, humbly for this iteration, the DMV, of course, being home, I lived in the DMV area for 18 years. Go-go, go-go culture, go-go music, dance hall music as well, as we have that huge culture there too. And hand dancing, most Black American partner dance forms are deeply embedded in my dance experience and my upbringing. And so while we are teasing out more places for that to live in the work, it's always been a part of the work because it's always been a part of my core understanding of how jazz intersects and shapes and influences everything that we love about Black American culture. But this particular iteration and many others, I'm honored to be an international tradition bearer of these forms. So I travel quite frequently, teaching and competing and helping to produce events. And so I'm honored to be a part of many different communities around the world, but specifically here in the US. Have many, many different collaborators, as I call them, who I pull into the work as explorers of the Jazz Continuum. And the main premise is for them to negotiate their relationships with jazz in alignment with the other traditions that they carry. And that's the vocalists, the musicians, the dancers as well. And even down to the lighting and stage producers too. There's moments where they hop on stage and get down with us too. And it's more of an unfolding and a highlighting. We don't attempt to do things that we don't do because that would be disintegrous. But we do invite them into the residency experience. And sometimes when the artists aren't able to be on stage with us, they'll give an offering to the overall work and lay some choreography into what we're doing. And or also recommend some folks to share at a special section of the work that I'm sure folks in the DMV will love, that gets everybody moving and gets everybody engaged. And it's really a beautiful opportunity, not only to pay homage to the regional dialects of Black American social dance, but to also pay homage to the people who have been a part of my journey and who really, really gave me the wherewithal to stand in this premise of the continuum and to make this a reality. So it's again, like I said, it's 5-year-old Tasha's dream, just presented in an adult fashion in many venerated spaces. So.
Well, it's a boatload of people on stage with you from that clip. Talk about how many people are you working with, who you're, I mean, including the band members. Tell me how many are a part of this wonderful ensemble that we're going to be able to see at the Kennedy Center, November 17th and 18th.
So our ensemble of explorers, that's what we call them in the work. And we call the work an offering because that's exactly what it is. It's an offering to the continuum itself and an invitation to our community. But there are generally 5 musicians. We have a pianist, we have a vocalist, sax, bass, drums, of course, and a live DJ with some turntablism skills. So that's live musicianship of electronic music. That is how that is framed in that way. And dance explorers vary. We generally have about 8 or 9. But when we travel to spaces where I have deep roots, like we are in DC, we tend to open it up just a little bit more and make more space so that we can really feel the fullness of the community experience that exists where we're going. So I would love to list everybody by name, but you can definitely go to the Jazz Continuum website or follow us on Instagram and learn more about each of our explorers and what they bring to the project and who they are individually, because they are amazing powerhouse artists all in their own right. And again, I'm just humbled that they avail their talents and their genius to making this work a reality. It's really amazing.
Well, we are excited to see you at the Kennedy Center. You know, it's interesting. I know people who are native Washingtonians who have yet to visit the Kennedy Center. They have a perception about the Kennedy Center. The Kennedy Center is one of the most versatile entertainment, educational spaces that we have here in DC, in the metro area. And based on the clip that you saw at the beginning, what you're going to see may not be what you thought about the Kennedy Center. So come on out, folks, on November 17th and 18th to the Kennedy Center to see LaTosha Barnes bring you the jazz, well, bring us the jazz continuum. So thank you. I'm excited for you. I'm excited to have you here back in the DC area where you're from. And wonderful success to you with the program that's coming up on November 17th and 18th at the Kennedy Center.
Thank you, Ms. Brenda.
Thank you. Bye. Well, that was wonderful. And I think Denise may be coming back with us. And good golly, Miss Molly, we need to go out and do some exercising because obviously we were being prompted to get some movement in today.
Well, I'm not representing the Barnes name well because she is. So I need to get into the flow. And dancing is such a great therapy. You know, it's just something that we, you know, it's exercise but fun. You know,
Yes.
It's exercise but fun. I don't know if I could do what they're doing, but you know, I look forward to actually hopefully getting there to see the performance. Brenda, you got me sold.
Yeah, and you know, just choose the tempo of music that works with you, and don't worry about trying to hop around on the floor like like LaTosha's team was doing. And so we thank her again, and we thank all of our guests today.
Right. Just before we close, you know, some of us have a dance move that we used to do back in the day, and we're stuck. We're still doing that same dance move.
Yes.
Been doing it for 40 years. It's the same move. So yeah, going to see LaTosha, it might help us to learn some new ones.
Absolutely. I'm going to be there.
All right, Brenda, thank you so very much again for a great interview. And thank you, LaTosha Barnes, for being with us, and look forward to who you're going to bring on next. So we'll talk to you soon. All righty. So it's my real pleasure again to bring on our next guest, Sharon Goods, the Chief Executive Officer of Wisdom Walkers. And I think we have a brief little video that we're going to do. Okay. All right. So we're going to go with that, and then we'll bring on Sharon. Hey, Sharon.
Hey, Denise, how are you?
I'm good. I mean, I've convinced myself I need to dance. We talked a little bit about yoga off screen, but the best thing to do is that walking. Thank you so much for being with us to talk to us about Wisdom Walkers.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me as your guest.
So, tell us. And you're a woman who's been involved in. I mean, just trying to keep the body fit, right, and trying to stress that the importance of that to so many people, and recognizing that age is no factor.
It's not.
So, tell us about the Wisdom Walkers and its history and mission.
Thank you so much. So, the Wisdom Walkers was a nonprofit that we formed a couple of years ago when we decided that we needed to do something to take our health in our own hands. One of my friends was very young, 40 years old. She died of hypertension, and so I started researching the health disparity in our community, within the African American community, and learned that we're dying at a very young age. And hypertension, we have the highest hypertension rate in the United States, and more Black women are dying. And so we said, you know what? We can do something. We can get going. We can get moving. So we decided to start walking. So we said, you know what? What we should do is set up some kind of goals so that people will want to kind of get out and take care of themselves. So we decided we're going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And so we set that up as a goal, and we trained for a whole year, and we walked, and we climbed some practice mountains at Old Rag, and we summited Mount Kilimanjaro and became the oldest group of African Americans to ever summit Mount Kilimanjaro. So we were thrilled. We said, you know what? This works. We got everybody kind of going. Let's continue this whole system. So we started doing we call fitness, destination fitness. So we started creating additional types of efforting. And most recently, a couple of weeks ago, we said, let's go to walk the Underground Railroad, the Harriet Tubman Trail. And we took 35 people down to Cambridge, Maryland, and had an incredible weekend learning about the history of the Underground Railroad, learning about Harriet Tubman, going to the museum. But the pinnacle of our trip was that we actually got to walk nearly 20 miles of the Underground Railroad. We felt so honored. And this time we took college students with us. He said, we may be over 50, but we want to make sure the younger African Americans are beginning to get moving, get going, and taking care of their health as well. So we're going to make that a practice. We're going to always take college students with us, or high school students with us whenever we go on any of these destinations now.
So let me ask you this question, Sharon, because I, have actually, spent some time out at Anacostia Park walking their path, and I see those who are just taking a stroll compared to those who are actually doing these speed walking kinds of things. When you say wisdom walkers, I mean, what kind of pace are you all keeping in? And you said 20 miles. I mean, that's a real destination. Hopefully that was round trip.
Well, here's the thing. We don't want anyone to feel that they can't come. And so we are walking every single weekend, Saturday and Sunday, in Rock Creek Park. And we open up to everyone. We say, just come, and everyone goes, you do your own pace. Just the idea of getting out into the park, getting outdoors and going out for a walk. It's amazing, Denise, how worries go away, concerns go away. It's kind of hard to be depressed walking in the park or walking outdoors. It's kind of hard to have.
Oh, yeah.
We reduce your stress. And it doesn't matter about the pace. It doesn't matter if you're trying to break a sweat and do something athletic. It just matters that you're doing something with this body and that you're moving. We think of it as a revolutionary act to decide that, you know what, I'm going to take care of myself and stick around. I'm not checking out here early. I decided to do something, but that's why that's what motivated us to start this.
And is it, you said students, but is it men and women who walk with you as well? Or is
Yes. In fact, we had men who climbed Mount Kili with us as well. So when we go walking on the weekend, it's largely ladies. There's an African American male walking group as well that meets in the same corner that we made at Piney Branch and West Beach Drive. But we have men and women walking with us. Men and women go with us on our trips and our treks. We don't, we open it to everyone. It's just that when we learned that Black women were dying of hypertension at the highest rate in the United States, we started reaching out to women saying, please come, just do something. Most Black women will do something for their families. They'll do something for their kids. They'll do something for their community or their church, and do nothing for themselves. He said, come, please take care of yourself. Let's get going. Let's get moving. And there's so much camaraderie when we're walking together. It is amazing. So we have, yes, men and women walking with us.
Wonderful. I wish we had posted, because thanks to you, we were able to publish the story about your feat at Mount Kilimanjaro. I know we had a photograph of the group, and it's an amazing story. And I've heard people even come to me afterwards saying, wow, did they really do that? Just, and it was, I hate to say it, but it's because of the age of the group, the members,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm as surprised as everyone else to be in my 70s. I'm like, what? Is this what this is about? So, the thing is that they're just numbers. And, we have people who are walking with us who are 23. And our oldest is 88, and she's been walking now for the last 50 years, and she is a beautiful walker. She can walk 5 miles on a stretch, so it's open to everyone, and just getting going, and it's just the whole movement of walking, whatever the pace is that you have. It's just, that's so uplifting and such a healthy way of being. They had a study that came out this past week that was published in the Post about the weathering. The weathering, in other words, we're aging from the inside out, and we're weathering from stress. And particularly African Americans, we died at 6 years younger than whites. And the reasons that we're weathering from the whole efforting of trying to earn a living, the stress of trying to live in this country. And we can do something. We don't have to just be subject to allow the stress to affect us and just say, oh, I give up. It's nothing I can do. Let me have a piece of cake. No. We can get going. We can drink water. We can walk. We can exercise. We can sweat. We can take care of our hearts. And that's what this is all about.
And if those who are lucky enough to have partners with them, bring them along as well, because men die much earlier than women.
Yes,
and it's amazing. I think in that article, or one like it, it talked about how Americans are, where we thought the lifespans are getting longer, but I think from a majority standpoint, we're still dying. We're not growing older as a nation.
No, we're not.
And that's the sad part about it. And I, many years ago, I don't know if that still happens, but there are groups that, they're mall walkers, folks who would go to the mall earlier in the morning and walk the malls. But there's something I think special about being outdoors. Do you all do this like year round?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
One time we're not walking is when it's raining, but we have weather gear. We put on our weather gear and get out there and hit it. It doesn't matter about the temperature. I mean, if we can climb a mountain and be out in 5-degree weather, we have the right, clothing. We layer down and get out there and get some fresh air, because we really want to inspire and help other African Americans who are getting older to know that you don't have to be subject to the aging process. You don't have to succumb. You can do something yourself. You don't have to pop pills from the doctor. You can get out and do something yourself and take care of yourself. So that's what we're trying to do. That's our mission, and that's what made us form the nonprofit.
Well, if I get a little personal, and my mother watches the show pretty often, Vera Abbott, and I think it's watching today, and she celebrated a really, really big birthday this year. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that when she gave up her car several years ago, she's out on foot a lot, she hasn't joined a walking group, but she could lead one, most definitely.
That's fabulous. It's amazing though, Denise, when we're walking together, we have solved some of the world's problems while we're walking, because what happens when Black women get together. We started talking about investments. We started helping people to begin to purchase house. We started doing things that happen as we walk, because we're walking for two hours a day. 2 hours each time on Saturday and Sunday, and we started solving people's problems. Oh, you know what? I know where you can get a job. You looking for a job? Let me tell you about this. So it's really been an interesting experience, which is why we started calling it the Wisdom Walkers, because we started sharing wisdom among ourselves, and it became incredible.
So the nonprofit, tell me about that.
So because we wanted to, we're because it's destination fitness, and so we're traveling, we wanted to make sure we can take everyone who wants to come with us, the younger people. So that's why we formed the nonprofit. And our website is www.wisdomwalkers.org. And we formed the 501c because we wanted to raise funds so we can encourage students to come with us. We're going to December 2nd. We're heading out to Harper's Ferry, and we're going to have a private tour, and then we're going to walk 20 miles while we're in Harper's Ferry to kind of honor the history of African Americans there. We're in March 7th. We're going down to walk the Edmund Pettus Bridge and cross the bridge and walk 20 miles while we're there, and then go to the EJI Museum, the Hanging Museum down in Montgomery. We're taking students with us, when we go. So we're doing. And then in July, we're going to climb Machu Picchu and head out to the Inca Trail out in Peru and join together with the Afro-Peruvians and learn about their history.
Wow.
So we want students to come with us. We want people to join us, and we want to be able to enable students. That's why we formed the nonprofit. We want to continue reaching out to educate more African Americans about, yes, let's get going. We don't have to let things happen to us just because we're aging.
I love this because it's not only just walking, but it's education, it's culture, it's sharing. There's a lot that's here, and so I'm really glad that you were able to share this program with us. Now, the folks that meet at Rock Creek Park, talk about that. When do you all meet? What time?
Every Saturday and every Sunday, we're there at the across from 1800 Piney Branch Northwest, at the Rock Creek Trailhead. And whoever shows up. And we, enter the park. We go inside the park to walk the paths of Rock Creek Park because it's easier on the joints. We go at whatever pace people want to walk, so it's open to everybody. And we just, welcome people coming because it's just amazing what goes on in the park in terms of the healing experience of being out in nature. That's every weekend we're there.
And what time? And what time do you meet again?
8:30.
8:30 a.m. On Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Do you walk on both days?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And what about the rest of the week?
Rest of the week, because we are doing, well, I work out, but we're doing, because we have these destinations, when people sign up to want to go with us on walks, we encourage people to walk on their own. We also have personal trainers who are part of the Wisdom Walkers, and of course, I'm a yoga teacher. So we have people who we have referred and got them in shape for the mountain. I work out with weights and work out all the time. So we have training programs that we make available, as well as referrals to personal trainers, so that people can get going. You want to come with us in Machu Picchu on the Inca Trail? Well, let's get in shape so you can come with us. You want us to walk 20 miles to Harper's Ferry? Well, come on. It's going to happen on the 2nd of December. So we have like 5 weeks. Let's get ourselves in shape during this 5-week period of time.
Well, I was in Harper's Ferry not too long ago. That's a lot of hills.
Yeah.
And so, that is, I understand why you're saying getting in shape. It's important, and it's fun too.
It is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. We just, we created these destinations. I mean, if you want to come with us to the Edmund Pettus Bridge for March 7th, here's our plan that we're going to do for getting in shape before we start that 20-mile trek. So we're trying to get people to think of the goal of what we're getting ready to experience in terms of the destination fitness, and then they back themselves up in terms of planning how we're going to get in shape to prepare for that.
Wonderful. Well, Sharon, I want to thank you so very much for being with us. We're going to put the website up again. It's wisdomwalkers.org.
Yes, www.wisdomwalkers.org.
Exactly. And you have an Instagram page?
Yes, we do. The Wisdom Walkers.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you so very much. Who knows? You might see me one of these 8:30 in the morning, maybe.
Come on and join us. You'll love it. Trust me.
I know I will. It's, a lot of the hardest part is just the getting up and the getting there. But once you do, it's like, what took me so long? So I hear you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Denise, for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that brings us back to another extended version of Let's Talk here on WIN TV. We want to thank you so very much for tuning in to us today. We got an exciting program lined up for you again next week, Friday from noon to 1. But we're on YouTube, so you can watch us at any time. And we really, really ask you, if there's something that you really like that you'd like to share with someone, turn them on to the YouTube channel, share the show with them, and we certainly invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Yes, next week we're going to celebrate Women's Business Month with a conversation with Daryl McKissick, a trailblazer in the architecture, engineering, and construction field. And we're going to hopefully talk a little bit maybe about, we've got a show coming up on cybersecurity, and just a whole lot. So continue to keep us plugged into your cell phones, your computers, your laptops, your whatever other devices you use to watch us. And we look forward to hearing from you soon and look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great weekend. Be safe.